Are Penguins fans judgmental, or are they right? Welcome back, motherfuckers, to the Pucked Up Podcast. I'm your host, D-Bag, and I'm joined by the gorgeous, the scintillating Danger Water, and then the handsome and recently rebalded Chris. He was just telling us that he bought some new razors today, so I had to incorporate it somehow into the show.
Well, I mean,
I was
it's
not
true,
expecting
you
that.
know? Listen, hi, Chris
You are
Bald.
rebalded. We're gonna get you your like official fucking what do you call them?
My business card.
cards. We're gonna say bald and bubble butt bois on it.
And super
Bubble
spoonable.
butt bottom bois. Super
That's right,
super
spoonable.
spoonable.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the
absolutely.
bubble butt bottom bois.
Bubble butt
Probably.
bottom what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Also, the
as a
Penguins
reminder,
fucking scored.
this is
I'm mad.
this show is weekly. We record it early in the week, so anything that we say today will have changed by the time you fucking listen to it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I need you to take a deep breath and understand that when we talk about some of our topics today and we talk about slow starts and fast starts, if someone had a miraculous turnaround, we don't have that information yet. I am not a fucking fortune teller or a time traveler. So
I
you'll
could
have
be
to
a
get over
time
it.
traveler. I guess you'll
You
never
just
know.
don't want to.
Traveler, but...
I guess you'll never know.
I guess you'll never know.
Also, some other news is we have a TikTok account specifically for Pucked Up. That'll be linked in the description. You guys can check that out when you get
I think
the
the name
chance.
is at Pucked Up Podcast.
It is.
I created it, and so I
be.
should remember it, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
is.
So yeah, we post almost every day on there.
Every weekday.
Yeah, every weekday. And we also repost a lot of happenings around the NHL that we may or may not talk about. So you should definitely follow us and see what other things we are clued into that you fucking aren't. So
yeah.
Because we have our pulse on the NHL.
Because we're NHL insiders.
We are.
We are.
Elliot Friedman and I.
Like this.
We're fucking bros. I was best man of his wedding. I'm kidding. But seriously, Elliot, if you ever hear this and you ever want to come on the show, like, we would gladly have you.
Yeah. We'll curse less if you want us to. That's fine.
Yeah. It'll be really hard.
I make no promises.
I'll like smack my hand every time in the background. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Get under control. Like the nuns used to do. Anyway. Sorry.
I'm watching the TikTok you sent me earlier.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
You have to watch the one I sent you guys.
I did watch it.
It's so brilliant.
It's so funny. No news out of the PWHL, so I'm going to skip over myself because I have nothing to talk about. But Chris has shit to talk about. Chris, you want to tell us about a topic that we actually talked about last week, being that we were watching it as we were recording last week's episode.
Correct. So, we discussed last week that we recorded during the NHL's second annual Frozen Frenzy. For those that are not familiar with it, it is a day in the NHL season where all 32 teams play. It doesn't happen any other time but that one day. Last year was the first year. It was met with critical success. There was zero complaints from anyone, I would say. This year, however, the numbers are a little down. 2023-2024 numbers. The triple header, this is going off of the 3 games that were broadcasted on ESPN, had an average viewer count of 426,000 with the Whip Around show, which is essentially, think of it as NFL Red Zone channel for the NHL for that specific day. Had 196,000 average viewers. For this season, for last Tuesday, the average viewer count for the triple header was 381,000, and the Whip Around show was 83,000. that's a significant drop off on the whip around viewership, because you're looking at what,
It's like 56.
113,000. Like, that's such a
Yeah, it's a
big drop off.
56% drop. Like, that's more than half of viewership. That's crazy.
I am able to see some other stats just reading through. It looks like Washington and Philadelphia had the top rated game, but they were even down 15% compared to last year's top rated game, which was the Bruins and the Chicago Blackhawks, and that had a average viewer count of 526,000. It was 13 nationally televised games. ESPN and TNT Sports are averaging 431,000 viewers. That's down 29% and from this point last season. I don't know. That's You're looking at even last year's first game, which was the Nashville Predators and Tampa Bay Lightning, had just about 600,000 average viewers, to where this year's opener for the tripleheader, which was the Blues and the Kraken, 348,000.
Yep.
I think that one is, I think the issue there is you put two teams that are not towards the top of the league as your nationally televised games. Nashville and Tampa were forces last season to start off the year. So I don't know. It's weird because, like, you had brought up off air that having it on a Tuesday was lame. It just wasn't a good fit, and I agree. But it was also on a Tuesday last year.
Yeah, but it was also later in the season. So you did it on a Tuesday, a week before Halloween.
No, last year it was on October 24th.
Was it really?
Was it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why do I remember it so much later in the season? Because I know we talked about it.
No, it was.
I thought it was too.
No, it was October.
Am I crazy?
October 24th, which was also a Tuesday.
Weird. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I guess it was. But it was also, I guess, maybe the first ever. I don't know. I do think that it is weird to do it on a Tuesday. I think that they will need to fix that moving forward. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of hard days to do it this early in the season. And I think they do it this early in the season because of the fact that you want to do it earlier rather than later so that your teams are less tired, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Doing it later in the season can be more difficult because you also have the All-Star break in there. We also have the Four Nations tournament coming up this year later in the season as well. And then you go into playoffs pretty quickly. So the timing gets kind of weird. But there has to be a better option, I think, than doing it on a Tuesday in October when we're 3 weeks into this. We're not even 3 weeks into the season, or I guess we are now.
I think what doesn't help them is the fact that Frozen Frenzy happened on the exact same day as the start of the NBA season.
Yeah.
That is going to hurt your crowd significantly because as much as the NFL is popular, the NBA is just as popular.
Is more popular, I would argue. Unfortunately for all of us.
I mean, that's gonna. I think last year the NBA season started on the 27th.
So in the surrounding days, but not day of.
Yeah. I just like, I don't know. What do you guys think is a good move going forward? Like, to try this, obviously this is a cool concept and they should keep this. So what do you think would be beneficial? Like, a good place to start making this a priority for fans?
Yeah, I think changing the day, first of all. These big leagues, there's no way they don't know when the other groups are starting.
Right.
There's no way that they can't find out that the NBA started on October 24th and also hosting all of your teams or all of your games on that day would be stupid. Maybe Tuesday isn't the worst option, but I do think you probably would have better luck if you did it on a weekend. Of course, if you do it on Saturdays, you're then competing with college football, which has a massive following. But I think you might grab in some more fans that way too. Or again, just change it just a little bit. And if possible, I know they started early. They started the first game at like 6, I want to say, puck dropped, or 6 or 6:30.
It was 6.
Maybe
yeah.
start it also a little bit earlier too. If you can start it at 5. Like I know that's hella early for the West Coast people. That's like starting at 2 p.m. But then like people like Chris and I in Danger, who are on the other side of the country, aren't having to stay up till 1:30 in the fucking morning.
I mean, I'm going to anyway because I'm a West Coast fan, you know?
Right. But if all of the games started earlier, like if the first game starts at 5 and we moved everything up by an hour and a half, then on that random Tuesday in October, maybe we can end by midnight. You know what I mean? And just give ourselves a little extra grace.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that could work depending on scheduling and stuff for West Coast. Because again, like if you're putting a West Coast game, let's say like the Ducks game's at like 6 o'clock local time.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people have gotten out of work yet. You know, you've got people that are like probably just getting out of work, trying to get home, trying to get ready.
But see, I think you start the 5 p.m. slot with the matchups that people care less about. Your St. Louis Blues matchup. No offense. Sorry to our St. Louis fans. You start it with those, you start it with the San Jose Sharks, or you start it with one of those. You don't have that as the first part of the triple header.
Yeah,
but you just have that as the first game of the night. And then the first triple header is your 6:30 start. And it's your Pens matchup. It's your Rangers matchup. It's your, Florida matchup, whatever.
Yeah, definitely having better matchups.
If you did it on a Saturday, though, too, you could start at 1 o'clock.
Exactly. That's the better option overall.
Would still, like you said, compete with college football. But, I mean, I know at least growing up, what we did on Saturdays and Sundays was sit around and flip between whatever sports were on TV. So you're still going to get the viewership. It may not be consistent, but you're going to get it because people are flipping back and forth.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Agreed.
And that is for sure. D has a big point. If you're going to put a triple header on national ESPN, well, you need to make sure that those are teams that people give a shit about. And I'm not saying that the fans don't exist for the Kraken or the Blues, but in reality, if I'm like turning on, all right, I'm going to turn on ESPN. Give me something. I want to see the Oilers. I want to see the Bruins. I want to see the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
I want to see the Nashville Predators. I want to see good teams that I'm like, this is going to be an awesome game. Let me sit and check this out.
I wonder how, like, what goes into planning the games as far as, like, it would be nice if you could have teams that don't necessarily match up very often throughout the season. Like, I know everybody has teams that they play like more times. I feel like maybe I'm wrong.
Well,
in that,
everyone plays. Everyone plays
so
each
like
other twice.
West Coast teams
and then,
could play an East Coast team.
Yeah.
And then, but there's other like additional times.
Yeah, like you play people in your division more.
Your division.
Like
your
we
conference.
played
You
St.
play
Louis or
games.
Chicago a bunch of times. Yeah. So, but like getting a West Coast team playing an East Coast team, where it's you're not going to see those matchups as often.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Might help create some extra rivalries, which would be fun publicity wise, if they really wanted to play it up.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we were just, not we. I was watching the NHL's Gen Z commercial earlier, and it's like, okay, so they're punching up some commercials this year. Like, so, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's a better solution, and I just don't know what it is yet.
Well, yeah.
I genuinely, having it at a better time is the biggest solution that there is.
And like, because of what year it is and all the things that are going on in the world, currently, at least in the US, like
Mhm.
a lot of viewership is down on sports and stuff right now.
Right.
Right.
So that also could just be,
Yeah.
it could tie
It's
into
a
it.
byproduct of nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm sure part of it being on a Tuesday too is like you don't have NFL playing on Tuesdays typically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day of the
I don't
week they
know
haven't
about
claimed.
right. So I think they're
Yet.
banking on viewership that way, but I feel like
Dude, okay, hold on. I'm so sorry. Fucking McElrath and Rempe are going at it right now.
Are they?
are they?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
The
Dude.
Wild just tied it up.
It'll probably be
Oh,
over by the time I
Dude,
pull the
Rempe
game up.
is looking a little.
Kuznetsov.
Oh, helmet just came off. There we go. Oh, now McElrath's helmet just came off. We'll have to cut all of this. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. We're gonna keep some of this.
I'm just.
The excitement in your face.
Yeah. Dude, oh, and they're on the ground. Oh,
Ah,
and they broke it up.
damn.
Man.
I hate when they break it up so quick. Like I get
Dude,
why they
Rempe
do
is
it when
fucking
they hit the
bleeding
ground.
from the eyeball.
Jesus.
Whoa. Like a cut
He's got a massive cut. Sorry, right here.
like here.
So that's actually a really good segue. Not at all a good segue, but a really good segue into our next topic, which is the 3 stars of the week. And before I announce who the 3 stars this week are, I am going to let you know that the NHL announced that starting November 1st, Geico will launch the NHL 4th Star of the Week, presented by Geico, obviously, which is a fan appreciation program that recognizes one dedicated hockey fan alongside the NHL's monthly 3-star players. This initiative will be featured in arenas across the league, at NHL tentpole events, and across NHL digital platforms throughout the 2024-2025 season. So you will hear us talking about the 4th star as presented by Geico in our monthly recaps of the monthly stars for each one. So you'll look forward to that starting November 1st with the next batch of the stars of the week. All right, so our 3rd star of the week is a name that Danger is familiar with, but unfortunately is no longer on her team. Matt Duchene, a center for the Dallas Stars, is the. I know.
I wasn't a huge Duchesne fan. Like he was fine when he played for us. I'm glad he's
But he was one of
blossoming
your
though.
boys.
Like it's always
Yeah.
good to see players do well post Wild, but yeah.
So Duchene tallied 3 goals and 3 assists over 3 games as the Stars earned a pair of wins in advance of traveling across the Atlantic Ocean for the NHL 2024 Global Series, which is in Finland this year, as presented by Fastano. I don't know if that's how you say it. Fucking at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is going to be November 1st and 2nd against Florida, the Panthers. He also had 1 assist in a 4-2 loss to the Buffalo Sabres, and then had 1 goal and 2 assists for his 53rd 3-point performance in a 5-2 win against the Boston Bruins. Duchene scored twice, including his 51st career game-winning goal in a 4-2 win over the Blackhawks. The 33-year-old Duchene is now in his 2nd season with Dallas, and he found the score sheet in 7 of his 9 total appearances thus far to lead the Stars in goals with 6 and points with 11. Our 2nd star of the week is Jussi Saros, who is a goalie for the Nashville Predators. Saros stopped 60 of the 62 shots he faced, going 2-0 with a 1-point goals against average and a .968 save percentage and 1 shutout to get the Preds to a 3-0 week on the heels of an 0-5 start to the season. Saros made 33 saves, including 24 over the final 2 periods, for his 24th career shutout in a 4-0 win versus the Boston Bruins. He then turned aside 27 shots, including the final 12 against Chicago, as they overcame a 2-0 deficit. Then he signed. Sorry, I can't read. The 29-year-old, who signed an 8-year extension with the Predators in July, owns a 2-4-0 record, 2.74 goals against average, a .908 save percentage, and 1 shootout through 6 total appearances this season. His 184 career wins and 24 career shutouts both rank 2nd in franchise history, behind only Pekka Rinne. Our 1st star of the week is someone that Chris is very happy about because he is on his fantasy team.
He's been a fucking
Mark
monster.
Stone. Mark Stone is our first star of the week. He is a right winger for the Vegas Golden Knights. He recorded multiple points in each of his 3 appearances, leading the NHL with 2 goals and 6 assists overall and 1 goal and 3 assists on the power play to lift the Golden Knights into first place in the Pacific Division on the strength of a perfect week. Stone had 1 goal and 2 assists, highlighted by his 39th career game-winning goal in a 6-1 triumph over the Los Angeles Kings. He then got a pair of assists as Vegas rallied from a trio of deficits to defeat his former team, the Ottawa Senators, 6-4 in a matinee that week. Stone finished the week with 1 goal and 2 assists, his 39th career 3-point performance, and a victory, 7-3 victory against the San Jose Sharks. The 32-year-old Stone, who captained Vegas to the Stanley Cup in 2022-2023, tops the NHL with 4 goals, 13 assists through 9 total contests this season. He also shares the league lead in assists for 13 and power play points with 7. Wow, that was a lot of text, and it's done now. And you're welcome.
I do just want to point out that Matt Duchene never played for the Wild.
I thought he did.
No.
I thought he did too.
No, he spent the majority
Is there
of
another
his...
Duchesne?
No. Not that I know of, at least. But Matt played most of his career with the Colorado Avalanche, spent 2 years in Ottawa, 1 year in Columbus, then he spent the last 4 in Nashville. And now he's in Dallas.
Weird. I could have sworn he was a Wild boy.
That's probably why Danger doesn't like him too much, is because he played for the Avalanche for the most part of his career, which would make sense.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
that's
I've
it. She just talked about him a lot.
So I got family in Colorado. Like, I hate the Avs because they're a rival of ours, but
yeah.
like, I secretly will root for them in the playoffs when we're out and whatnot. I could have swear. Wait. Okay, they lost to the Wild.
swear.
I thought for fucking sure did he get drafted by us and never played for us?
No, he got drafted by Colorado. Yeah, because like when you said it, I'm like, I don't think Duchesne
weird.
played in Minnesota.
I could have sworn he did. But you know what? We've all been
Maybe
wrong.
he was like a gopher, or maybe, I don't know. Like,
No,
maybe he's a Minnesota boy.
There was a Duchesne, like there had to have been a Duchesne that played for us.
He's not a Minnesota boy. He's from
No, he's from Ontario.
Halliburton, Ontario, yeah.
But he may have like trained here or something.
Weird.
He died.
Yeah, I was like,
I guess we've just talked about him a lot, and maybe
I think it's maybe because he plays for Dallas, and I know I went to high school with somebody with the last name Duchesne, so maybe that's why I always like. Yeah. And it was a chick, so it shouldn't be. But like, you know how your brain.
Yeah.
Pascal Dupuis, I loved him.
Pascal.
We're all wrong sometimes. That's fine.
Yeah.
Never been wrong. I've been wrong.
But now seems as good as
Dave.
A time as any to actually, since we talked about some of the stars of this week, we should actually get into some of the people who are some of the teams that have started incredibly well and some of the teams that have stunk up the joint, because we have quite a few people that have done maybe not poorly but unexpectedly bad, and then some people who have actually just done fucking poorly.
Yes.
So Danger, you want to talk about that for a little bit?
With the disclaimer that we record this on Tuesdays, it airs on Fridays, so some of these numbers may no longer be correct. But as far as people kind of starting off slow, the Sharks so far have dropped 9 games to start their season. Flyers so far have lost 7. The Ducks have only lost 5, but are also 2 games behind the majority of the league.
I said we played 2 games.
The Predators have lost 6. The Blackhawks have lost 6. No one cares about them. The Penguins have lost 6. Of those groups, like Philly, Nashville, and Pittsburgh seem to be like the surprisingly slow starts.
Yeah.
We normally see more from those teams at this point in the season, at least.
Yeah, no, that's that's shocking to me to see Philly not at least at 500.
That's what I was saying too.
Pittsburgh, I either expected them to suck or start off really well. Nashville is a shock to me.
Yeah,
that team is loaded.
Yeah,
now.
like the Hawks, the Ducks, like the Sharks.
Not shocking.
Nobody's really shocked
as a Ducks
by
fan.
that.
I'm like, it makes sense. They're bad.
But yeah, like seeing Nashville, and Philly
Yeah.
Philly's kind of a coin toss too. But yeah, I agree with Pittsburgh. Like Pittsburgh either starts off really hot or they suck it up and then they come back the second half of the season.
Well, and with the Sharks too, this is the second year in a row that they have lost.
Yeah.
What is it? 9 of their opening
10.
games.
Yeah.
And 9 of the first 10,
that's
which
right.
is like
that
a record.
Was the stat. I couldn't remember or find the thing I had shared.
Yeah, you're the one that shared it with me.
Yeah, but yeah, so like that's just insane.
Yeah.
Especially having that happen. Well, I mean, never mind. I was thinking the Kraken, not the Sharks. I was like, being that they're such a new team, but
both nautically themed.
Yeah, no, team. But as far as people kind of off to kind of surprising start. The Calgary Flames, who missed the playoffs last year, but are unexpectedly, according to some people, off to a strong start. They're 5-3-1 as of time of recording.
Yeah, that is honestly a surprise because I was expecting them to struggle. Like the roster's there, I just don't know. I just after last year, I can't
usually don't come off that strong this early.
Well, they don't normally come in with such low expectations.
Right.
True. Very true. Another team that missed the playoffs last year is my own team, the Minnesota Wild. But we're kind of exceeding expectations. We're what I think. You said 5th percentage-wise.
Yeah, you guys have a points percentage of .750, so that's like 75%.
So we're 5-1-2.
Again,
we
only
always seem to have
played.
those like overtime. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We seem to have a lot of games the last few years go to overtimes, so I'm not surprised to see that at 2. But starting off relatively strong. Another team that surprised, I think, the fuck out of everybody was Winnipeg. They were undefeated until last night against Toronto. They lost their first game.
But undefeated in your first 8 out of 9 games.
Yeah, that's still. I'm honestly
insane
I'm
for
saying,
Winnipeg.
Like, I'm not surprised.
Actually, first 8 out of 8. To correct myself on that. And Chris, you did say that Winnipeg was going to make it to.
I am not surprised in
finals.
The slightest. I'm a little surprised that they win 8-0, but there is not a doubt with how well they played last year. I mean, they had a hard time in the playoffs, but that team is very, very good.
Right. But like there was no doubt that they were going to be very good, but to go 8-0 and your first 8 appearances,
that's an unexpected start.
That's a hot
unexpected start
I'm not
for anybody, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like anybody to go 8-0 in the first 8 games is insane in my opinion.
And I'm not shocked
unless you're just getting fed shitty teams.
Yeah.
What was that?
I said I'm not even in the slightest shocked with Vegas because I mentioned this first week. People have been saying so much all through the offseason. Oh, they lost too much. Oh, they're going to struggle this year. You're forgetting who the fuck is still on that team? Like, there is no reason in my mind that they should be starting poorly. This makes sense.
Yeah.
This makes sense.
Which I would also like to point out that my team is 5-2-0. So we've had no overtime losses. We've only played 7 games, so that's not a bad number either.
That's behind a little bit.
I think you guys are the least amount of games played. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I feel like you always are for some reason.
Because they hate us. Just kidding. They don't.
No,
we do
fear
have
you. They fear you.
We do have the fewest games played right now. Which is I don't know how that gets evened up because there's not another team that only has 7 games played.
Did you guys
I am confused.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Montreal too, despite being without Patrick Laine, the goalie Sam Motembo, Motembo. That's fucking phenomenal. That's actually how you say it. But Sam has been impressive, leading all NHL goaltenders with 6.3 goals saved above expected, and they are currently 4-4-1.
Well, I think this is a better start.
Kind of more of an expected start,
too.
Right?
They started off like I think they had only won 1 game by the time their they hit their 10-game mark. So this is
Right.
a better start for Montreal.
Right. And I love that this got put on the list too. Additionally, some teams have been exceeding expectations, including the Anaheim Ducks, which has somehow made both lists. But this just said, despite being predicted to struggle, the Ducks are off to a strong start with Zegras, of course, playing a key role, and they are 3-4-1. Obviously,
we should trade Zegras. Motherfuckers.
Right, yeah.
He missed 51 fucking games last year. What do you
Although
want him to
I
do?
will say-
Pick up the Xbox controller?
Chris's team has the fewest goals for currently with only 18.
Yeah, it's not going well.
As compared to Vegas, who has 47. Quite a big swing from first to last, if you ask me.
We've only given up 24 goals.
That is true. As far as
without our starting
that's a lot of one-game
goaltender.
decisions. Yeah,
that's very fair.
Gibson has
very
not
fair.
played yet this season.
I did just want to mention one more thing too. Sorry to cut you off, Dee. But
no worries.
on Thursday of last week, the 24th, the Florida Panthers goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky, one of our favorites across the league, recorded his 400th win, becoming the 14th goaltender to reach that mark. Bobrovsky also became the fastest goaltender to reach 400 wins in NHL history, doing so in only his 707th NHL game.
Bob's a beast.
Quite impressive.
Bob's a beast.
Bob is a beast. Bob is
not
a beast.
as much this season. He had a slow start. If we're talking about slow starts, he was one of them.
Yeah,
but he's turned it around. Maybe.
Hey, you know what?
You know, this is the start of his resurgence. That's all.
It's still quite the milestone.
But
100%
we had a
it
few
is.
milestones that popped up too that I think we missed last week. Let us know if you're interested in us really tracking those and talking about them week to week or when they do happen. I find it fascinating to see those big milestones come across. So.
I do want to mention with Bobrovsky though. He has a save percentage of .892. The fact
sub
that
900
Bob
is crazy for him.
Yeah, sub 900. He has a goals against average of 2.97. Let me put that into perspective. With Freddie Anderson is leading the league right now with a goal against average of 1.48.
Wow.
That's a significant gap for a player who was so instrumental in not only his team being so solid last year, but the Panthers winning the cup. You had to face off against two of the best players in the world on that Oilers team. If we're doing the comparison, it's McDavid number 1 and probably Leon Draisaitl number 2 at this point. But it's crazy that he's just struggling to start the season. I know he gave up 5 goals last week in one game. It was
I think so.
It was brutal, but with someone his talent, I feel like he'll turn it around. And it's not like the Panthers are doing bad. They're not. They're playing really well. It's just not helpful that you've got a goal differential of +3. You've scored almost 40 goals, but you've given up almost 40 goals. You can't expect to win every game and be, put your team in a good position when you're just giving up pucks on net.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let us know down below who you think team-wise and player-wise have had a slow start and that you would like to see more from. We're happy to continue this conversation in the comments down below, wherever you are.
Absolutely.
There's always comments somewhere. And actually, you know what?
Carrier pigeon, whatever.
True. That actually kind of sets us up in part for our question of the week. So the question this week is that Pens fans are calling for a coaching change after the Penguins have dropped 6 games so far this season, in addition to missing the playoffs last year. So fans are pissed and they're calling to get the coach out, to get Mike Sullivan out. Do you think that Sullivan will be removed before the All-Star break is the question this week. So this is very specific about timing, less so about in general, but about the timing of it. Danger, let's start with you.
Being that he has coached for them for 9 years now, 9 seasons, I don't foresee them firing him prior to the All-Star break, but I think it'll happen this season.
Oh, okay. Curious, so then
Unless
you think
they
it's a
really
loyalty
turn
thing?
things around. I do, because of the way the Penguins organization has been and how loyal they are, not only to players but coaching staff, in my experience at least.
Mhm.
Again, I hate the Penguins, so I might be totally wrong
No,
on that.
you're correct on that. They are incredibly loyal. It's Pittsburgh teams in general, the Steelers, the Pirates, they're all
Right. Yeah,
incredibly
like,
loyal
they're
to the
very
people that are
loyal.
there. Yeah.
Right. I mean, look at Fleury, for example. Like, he played for them fucking forever ago,
Most of his
and they
career, yeah.
still love him there.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love Fleury? But like, it's just one of those things people still love.
If they didn't have to give up a goalie in the fantasy
Right.
or
Yeah,
in
in
the
the trade.
expansion draft,
Right.
Fleury would still be there. There's no
Mhm.
question in my mind.
Yeah.
So unless they completely turn it around, plus his contract is up
Mhm.
Yeah.
because he signed a 4-year contract extension in 2019, so his contract will be up.
Yeah.
Well, so
It
Chris,
should have been
before I
up
give my thought,
already.
what's your thought on it? Before All-Star break, yay or nay?
So let me just put this into perspective that since 2018, 2019, the Penguins have either missed the playoffs or not made it past the first round.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a few times, and we definitely talked about it last season. And I even was, like I mentioned before, my dad is a Penguins fan, and we actually got to talking about this yesterday. Something needs to change in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Something needs to change because something isn't firing off right. And yes, after in the 9 seasons that Mike Sullivan has been their coach, they have won 2 Stanley Cups and they have been a playoff team almost every year.
Yeah.
But
Right.
at what point does
they've lost in the first round?
Yeah. At what point does complacency set in for everyone and you're not able to challenge your players anymore or understand the necessary like changes that need to be made? And I'm not saying by any means Mike Sullivan's a bad coach. He's not a bad coach at all.
No.
I feel like
But something's not meshing anymore.
Absolutely. And I feel like you need like if I were Kyle Dubas, I'd sit him down and be like, "Listen, we're starting off really, really slow. This is unacceptable. We're trying to establish ourselves as a playoff contender. We're going to give you until the start of the new year. That's like a month prior to usually the All-Star breaks in February. We're going to give you until the start of the new year. If you don't turn it around in the next couple months, we're going to have to part ways." And like Danger said, he is on a contract year, so there is a chance that might play into. They probably don't let him go prematurely. You just let him finish out the season and then start fresh next year. You re-sign him. I don't know. I feel like if things don't turn around, we could see him being fired. There is a chance it's before the All-Star break, depending on how front office wants to go at it. But I feel like the guy's earned at least the right to finish 2024 off and try to get things moving in the right direction.
So I think I'm going to be the odd one out here, and I'm saying I think if it doesn't turn around, now granted, this is all on the presumption that it doesn't get fixed.
Yeah.
All of our responses are on the presumption it doesn't get fixed. If it doesn't get fixed, he is definitely gone before All-Star break. And the only reason I say that is because they have an aging core of players. You have Sidney Crosby, who I think they would want to give some cup runs 1 or 2 last times in his career. Yeah. And so if you're looking at it from that perspective, and with some of the other players that you have on this team, you've got Malkin as well, who is getting up there. Letang, like all of these players, Erik Karlsson, who I know is not a part of the core, but he's also just old.
He's also 33, 34.
Said with love, Eric. Don't come at me. But I think because of the age of these players, I think we see them do it before the All-Star break because it gives you enough time where if your record isn't quite bad enough, that you have a shot at the wild card spot. And ask me how I know that. You know what I mean? Like that was my team last year. And if they can get themselves a wild card spot, at least it gives them an opportunity to fight for it. And so I think that even though they're an incredibly loyal organization, I think that their loyalty to Sid is going to outweigh their loyalty to Sully.
True.
Would be my only thing.
True.
I can agree.
No, I can see that. Here's my other question is, being that he has been a relatively well-recognized name as far as coaches go the last 9 years, even prior to that, do you see him becoming head coach again?
Oh, yeah.
Or do you think that'll just end his...
No, I think he'll go somewhere else.
He was born in 68, so he's 50-something.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he's too old at all. I think we'll see him land somewhere else. Where that somewhere else is depends on how everybody else's teams shake out this year.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see there being a reason that he wouldn't get another job as a coach, because he's still a great
Curious,
coach.
Yeah.
You know, like he's been successful. If you combine his tenure in the NHL, 3 seasons, that's all he's missed as a coach. The playoffs, 3. 05-06 with the Bruins, and then the last 2 seasons in Pittsburgh. Now, I don't necessarily blame the coach the entirety of that time. Because the players also need to be held accountable. It's like It's like in football, when your team does terribly, everyone blames the quarterback, but the quarterback can't play every position. It's the same situation in this. When your goaltending is utterly atrocious. I mean, the only reason that they've been playing well is that rookie that they have right now. Jari has looked like absolute shit. Their defensive prowess isn't even there. You have such a great two-way player in Crosby, who is trying so desperately to get that team sparked on offense that he's just like kind of ignoring his defensive responsibilities as a center. Like, it's a weird situation over there, because on paper they should be great.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with Edmonton, though, right? On paper, they should be fucking great, and
they should be the best in the league. Yeah, and they're having a rough start too. You wouldn't expect them to be 500 or below, you know?
No.
Right.
So yeah, I think we see it happen before All-Star break if things don't turn around. If things turn around, I don't think they renew Mike Sullivan. In either case, I don't think that Mike is sticking with the team.
Yeah, with it being a contract year, which I didn't realize until I happened to see that line in the...
Yeah.
If they miss the playoffs again, he's gone. I can guarantee that.
Oh, for sure.
For
sure.
And it, like we had said, and we've said multiple times, the season's just started. Like, they've played 9 games. It's an 82-game season.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
It's not the end of the world. If we were having this conversation in like December, late December, January, then I'm gonna be like, hey, pal, it's time to get your shit together. But in October, this is a conversation that anything really could happen.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Well, I think time will tell, and you'll hear it here.
We will talk about it.
If it does happen. We will for sure talk about it. So,
absolutely.
What we're going to talk about next, though.
Changes.
Yeah, very true.
Or big team changes. You know, I mean, I'm always intrigued by the line of thinking when it comes to coaching changes and when they do it. Like,
agreed. Well, what we are going to move into, speaking of changes, is some roster changes due to injury and due to poor behavior.
Yeah.
Danger, you want to take us away?
And there are a couple of fines, no more suspensions again, still, which is fine considering the huge suspension of Nikushkin.
Yeah.
But 2 more fines happened since last recording. We have Garnet Hathaway for the Flyers got fined $5,000 for elbowing the beloved Joel Eriksson from the Minnesota Wild. And then Rasmus Dahlin for the Buffalo Sabres got fined another $5,000 for high-sticking Anton Lundell from the Panthers.
Fucking Dahlin getting a fine. That's
Right. Like
Mhm.
that's unusual.
I say
I'm
that.
And
kind of
that's a
curious.
max allowable.
I'm wearing the
wish
Sabres today.
that,
Yeah.
right? Also Freddie Gaudreau just scored again, so he's had 2 goals this
All
game.
right.
Nice.
Love that for us. Freddie hasn't like been on fire like that in a long time, so that's good to see. And Blomqvist in his debut saved like 29 goals for the Penguins, so he's not a shabby goalie. However, as far as injuries go, we have John Gibson, and I did kind of merge 2 different sources, so the CBS Sports and ESPN, because CBS has some more information and added notes. So forgive me if any of that is wrong again. This is recorded on a Tuesday. But for Anaheim, we have John Gibson. Updated, he has an abdominal injury. On IR, expected to be out until at least October 31st.
Yeah, because he had his appendix. He had that emergency appendectomy.
That appendix,
so
yep.
yeah, he should be back by November 1st. They're thinking.
Hold on. Head coach Greg Cronin said Monday that he anticipates Gibson to be accompanying the Ducks on their upcoming road trip, which begins Saturday against the Rangers.
Yeah, so they're expecting him to be back
news reports.
at least
he'll
by
at
next
least
week.
Be traveling with the team at that point. But yeah, so November 2nd? I think the 1st is Friday. For Boston, we have Alec Regula. Yeah, sure. I want to say Arugula because his first name is Alec.
That's so funny.
He has a knee injury on IR, expected to be out until at least November 29th. So relatively significant knee injury there. For Buffalo, we have Zach Benson on IR, expected to be out until at least November 5th with a lower body injury. For Calgary, we have Samuel Honzek, upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least October 30th. And then noted here, as of the 25th, Honzek was able to fully participate in Friday's practice, albeit serving on the 5th line.
Gotcha.
Noted. So for Carolina, we have Frederick Anderson, lower body injury listed as day-to-day, and Riley Stillman, lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least November 3rd. For Chicago, we have Alec Martinez, a groin injury on IR, expected to be out until at least November 3rd. He's getting closer to returning and will travel with the Blackhawks on their upcoming 5-game road trip, which begins Saturday in Dallas. Ben Pope of the Chicago Sun-Times reported Tuesday, which was last week, Tuesday. For Colorado, we have Ross Colton with a foot injury, expected to be out until at least November 11th. Aturi Lehkonen with that shoulder injury on IR, expected to be out until at least November 30th. And the update there is he is slated to actually to have been evaluated yesterday with the team doctor. So hopefully in the next couple days we'll get a more narrowed down update. Actually, no, that was updated yesterday. So he'll be back this week, hopefully. And then Jonathan Drouin on IR, expected to be out until at least October 30th with that upper body injury. He won't play Sunday, which was this past Sunday against Ottawa, but considered day-to-day for the team at least.
Gotcha.
For Columbus, we have Kent Johnson, shoulder injury, expected to be out until at least November 23rd. So looking at roughly a month since that happened Friday. The Dallas Stars have no new injuries or updates. For Detroit, we have Tyler Mott, upper body injury, expected to be out until at least November 2nd. He won't be in the lineup tomorrow, Wednesday, versus the Jets. Edmonton, I'm sure everybody has heard, but Connor McDavid is listed as day-to-day with a lower body injury that happened over the weekend or
last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last night.
I couldn't remember. It was updated yesterday, but that doesn't mean that's when it happened. For Florida, we have Jonah Godoyevich with the back injury listed as day-to-day, and Justin Sourdiff, undisclosed, on IR, expected to be out until at least November 27th. For Los Angeles, we have no new injuries or updates. For Minnesota Wild, an update on Ryan Hartman. He is expected to be out until at least November 1st with that upper body injury, so hopefully we'll see him back this week. For Montreal, we have Justin Barron, upper body injury, expected to be out until at least October 31st. He was not slated to play tonight against Seattle, was noted. And Caden Gooley with an upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least October 31st. And he was placed on injured reserve on the 27th, which was Sunday. No new or updates for Nashville. Is absolutely a Thriller jacket, by the way.
That looks like the jacket from the Thriller music video.
Yeah, absolutely.
PK Subban
He
looks
had to be
fucking
channeling, but yeah,
100%,
he's looking. Yeah, love PK though. Sorry, so no newer updates for anybody on Nashville. For New Jersey, we have Curtis Lazar, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least November 4th. For the Islanders, we have Alexander Romanov, upper body injury, expected to be out until at least the 30th. And it was noted today that he will not suit up for tonight's home matchup against Anaheim. Because he really doesn't have to. An update on Anthony Duclair with that leg injury. He's on IR, expected to be out until at least December 5th now. For the Rangers, we have Jimmy Vesey, lower body injury on IR. He is practicing for the first time last week, Thursday, since he was injured in training camp. So that's a good thing. Ottawa Senators, we have Artem Zub with that concussion, expected to be out until at least November 1st. David Perron, personal issues, expected to be out until at least November 1st. Shane Pinto, undisclosed, expected to be out until at least November 5th. He was not slated to play Sunday against Colorado and considered week to week per TSN 1200 Ottawa. For Philly, we've got Cam York, upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least November 11th. Sorry, my nose itches like crazy. For Pittsburgh, we have Blake Lizotte out with that concussion on IR, expected to be out until at least November 5th. And Brian Rust, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least November 5th. And it was just noted he is considered week to week and was not going to suit up against Minnesota tonight. For San Jose, Ty Dellandrea, upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least November 5th. And he was placed on IR today. It was noted. Update on Mark-Edward Vlasic. The back injury on IR expected to be out until at least November 5th, so hopefully we'll see him back next week, as well as Logan Couture with that groin injury on IR expected to be out until at least November 5th. No new or updated injuries for Seattle. For the St. Louis Blues, we have Matthew Joseph with a lower body injury expected to be out until at least November 5th. Nick Leddy, who I just want to note, graduated from the same high school my son goes to currently.
That's cool.
The year my son was born. Yeah, he's a big EP kid. And previous winner of the Minnesota Mr. Hockey Award. But he is hurt on IR, expected to be out until at least October 31st. He will join the Blues on their upcoming 4-game road trip, which will begin Thursday last week in Toronto. He at least is accompanying them. Who knows when he'll play again, but yeah. And Robert Thomas, lower body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least December 5th. Which is crazy. Like, that seems so far away. It's really not. It's like a month and like 35 days or whatever. Anyway. Yeah. No new or updates for Tampa Bay or Toronto. For Utah, we have Michael Kesselring with an illness. That syphilis bus strikes again. Beep, beep. He is listed as day-to-day. Beep, beep, motherfuckers.
We need a syphilis bus thing.
We really do. And merch. I need to get back on. I was working on it last season, and my life went to shit, so I stopped. But I need to make merch. Because I can make it with my Cricut. Even if I'm the only one that ever wears it, I would happily wear it.
I also do that shit as a job now.
Oh, that's true. But Sean Dursey, shoulder injury on IR, expected to be out until at least February 22nd, which is huge for Utah.
Yeah.
For a long-term injury, as well as John Marino with a back injury on IR, expected to be out until at least January 23rd. So they've got 2 long-term defensemen out here. For Vancouver, we have Dakota Joshua with a groin injury, expected to be out until at least November 5th. He did practice, and I included this just because I don't think we had this info last week. But as of the 19th, he practiced in a non-contact jersey on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Per Sportsnet, which is good. And Thatcher Demko with a knee injury, expected to be out until November 17th. That was updated on last week, Tuesday. I don't remember if we talked about that or not, but I wanted to include it here. For Las Vegas, we have Nicholas Haig, lower body injury, expected to be out until at least November 2nd. And then CBS just noted that he is listed as day-to-day. Our game got very loud. Holy shit. Faber's fighting.
We're up 2-0 right now.
Nice.
Wow, good save, Dosty.
First fight for any Minnesota Wild player. Who's
this
number
season?
3? St. Nanny? And they just gave out. Fave's fighting, though. Love
save
to see
Dosty.
it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
The one night I hope Bo Horvat doesn't do anything. This is I would play on the fucking Islanders.
For Washington, we have Matt Roy.
Yeah.
I can never remember what we settle on. Lower body injury on IR, expected to be until at least October 31st. You can tell me. I won't remember by next week. It's just going to become a thing all season.
It's fine.
And lastly, for Winnipeg, we have Ville Henaloa. Ankle injury on IR, expected to be out until at least October 30th. And that is all I have for injuries.
Well, thank you. I mean, not too terrible many, so that's good news.
Yeah, not a ton. Just a couple long term, into next year, which is good to see. Couple of big names coming back. I know Igor Sagoinovich. No, that's not how you say his last name. Anyway, he's on my fantasy team. He has been hurt for a couple of weeks. He came back this week, which is
right. And we're all still eagerly awaiting the return of Gabriel Landeskog. Like,
absolutely,
it's crazy that it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, oh my God, you just said something, and I was like, oh, that's such a great
the fantasy team.
Yeah, thank you, Danger. We're connected. See, brain cells. Speaking of the fantasy league, Chris, do you want to provide us with updates from this last week of fantasy fighting?
I do, yes. So, last week was our 3rd week of matchups. We've got a couple standouts and a couple teams that could really use a little bit of extra help. To start off week 3's final games, D beat Maul 104-97, or 98 rather. Danger beat John 113-86. Wes beat Marcello 99-95. Dave got his first win of the season, 83-82.5. He beat
Jesus Christ.
He beat Drew by literally a half of a point.
Yeah.
The skin of his teeth.
You know what wasn't by the skin of their teeth? My game over Matt, because I won 159-97.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier before we started recording. If you look at the point total, I have a 63 point gap between you and I, D, at the top in points.
It's pretty wild.
414.4 compared to D in second place, 355.1. And I think, to no surprise, Danger is in third with 334.4. I think it's not surprising that the three of us are kind of miles ahead of everyone else.
Yep.
Dave has the lowest score total 4 at 263.8. But it has not helped him in any that he's got 2 players on IR right now.
Yeah.
That's we were talking to him earlier about that too. It's like we'll get him going.
Yeah.
Fucking Marcello playing for the meme, and he said, "Watch me suck because I'm gonna draft all Bruins players."
Like, and I have 5 wild players on my team, and I'm doing
yeah.
all right. Like,
Yeah.
I'm third.
But like even your team is very good.
It's pretty stacked otherwise. Yeah, like
Mhm.
I did all right. Minus like, and my wild players, like Zuccarello has 4 goals already. Felino's got
say-
I think 1 or 2. Like
Like if
they're
I'm gonna
people that
draft,
typically don't do great.
Zook and Kaprizov would absolutely be players that I would
Oh,
be
yeah.
considering drafting because they're both
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
excellent. First off, they're just excellent overall players. They're great in fantasy.
And they like if you get what, I'm so glad I got both of them together because
Right.
I mean, I literally have the peanut butter and jelly shirt. Like that's what we call them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we have a whole Not Weird Wild commercial about their like. Actually, I think we have 2. We have one where they're passing a coffee mug back and forth, and then Hartman comes in and just steals it and takes a cup of coffee, and then they start passing another mug back and forth. And then the other one is like them, like, you know, riding the tandem stationary bicycle and texting back and forth, like sharing earbuds, and like, you know, all this cute like best friend shit. So like,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
glad
it's
I got both of them together.
It's like I have Tomas Hertl and Mark Stone who have been playing a lot on the same line. And
Yeah.
if we talked about Mark Stone, for those who
Yeah.
heard about him in the
He's
3 stars of the
fucking-
week, he has 32.1 fantasy points 3 weeks in. Hertl has 27. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's crazy. I feel like the top 4 runaways this year is going to be D, Danger, myself, and probably Wes, because Wes drafted really well. He didn't go as heavy on the Florida Panthers as we expected. He like drafted one guy. That was it.
Yeah. I will say I am the only one who has had 100 plus points every week so far. Since the start of this. Chris got close. He had like 97, I think, one week.
Yeah, I
Unless I read it
97.1. So I've had almost 100 every week.
Yeah, I'm currently, knock on wood, the only one who has maintained 100 points or more every single week. But it doesn't matter because points-wise, I'm in second place to Chris, and he only has an 80% chance of making the playoffs.
Which is
according
fucking crazy to me.
ESPN, which is insane because, yeah, it says he only has a... I'm sorry, I said 80. It's now 60. You've dropped, Chris. I'm so sorry. Sorry, it's 79. You've dropped a single
79,
point.
yeah.
And I have a 60% playoff chance. And yet we are number 1 and 2 in the league, respectively. So... ESPN, get your shit together.
Yeah, I felt so bad about as I was just whipping Matt's ass. I was like, I feel really bad. This is brutal.
Yeah.
Like,
right now, the projected winners bracket matchups will be Chris versus our buddy Wes and me versus Danger for playoff contention. And then whoever wins those, it'll be battling against at least one person on this screen will make it to the playoffs, if not 2.
Or make it to the
Yeah.
The matchups this week are I am facing off against Wes. I am currently losing 30-24. Marcello is playing John. John is currently winning 23-17. Drew and Matt are facing off. Matt is down by 9 points, but it looks like he might be able to pull the lead tonight. It's 19-10. Dave is playing D. That is a close game. 29.7 to 27.9. And Maul is facing off against Danger. Danger's winning 18 to 11.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the fantasy stuff.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Well, Chris, I know you were just talking for a very long time about our fantasy hockey updates, but I was hoping that maybe now you could entertain us just a little bit more with everybody's favorite segment of the week, the NHL Obscure Player of the Week. There we go.
I
Knew it was coming.
certainly could do. Oh, I had it queued up. You know how I do. Yeah. This week, continuing the trend that we discussed,
Mm-hmm.
our obscure NHL player of the week is a person by the name of Dale Hunter. Dale Hunter, born 1960 in Petrolia, Ontario. The 5'10" center was drafted 41st overall in 1979 by the Quebec Nordiques. In his 1,400 career games, 1,407 career games, 323 goals, 697 assists. And Danger, can you take a guess by any chance on what franchise he leads in penalty minutes?
When was he active?
From 81 to 99.
Was it the North Stars?
It was not the North Stars because he didn't play for the North Stars.
Oh, I don't fucking know them.
Hey, D, would you care to tell us who
I would love to tell you. Thank you so much for asking, Chris. He was the penalty minute leader for the Washington Capitals. Final answer?
That would be correct.
Do you still have the brain cell that we share? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I hadn't sent it back yet.
3,565 career penalty minutes just in the regular season. In the postseason, 186 career postseason appearances, 42 goals, 76 assists, 731 penalty minutes.
This motherfucker was a menace.
Do you want to know why the Washington Capitals never won a Stanley Cup prior to their one? Because my man was doing too much time and putting the team on the PK in the 90s.
Yeah.
He played for 3 teams in his career, obviously being drafted by the Nordiques. He played there until 1987 when he subsequently went to the Washington Capitals, up until 98-99 when he was traded mid-season to the Colorado Avalanche, which he ended his career. He also spent a little time as a coach for the Washington Capitals organization in 2011, 2012. In 60 games coached, he had a record of 30, 23, and 7. And they won their conference final, their conference quarterfinal. 4-3 against the Bruins, to which they lost in the semifinals to the Rangers. He has been doing a lot of coaching in the OHL. He has been the London Knights coach from 2001 all the way until 2023, 2024.
Yep.
Which is impressive. He has 1,430 career games coached in the OHL. 951, 375, and 17 is his record. He has won 2 Memorial Cups. He has 13 division titles, and he has 4 J. Ross Robertson Cups.
And if you are interested in seeing a pair of his game-worn hockey gloves that he wore while a player of the Caps, it is currently on display at Capital One Arena through this year as we celebrate our 50th anniversary. Dale Hunter obviously being a big part of the team in a couple of different ways. So if you want to see that and see a part of history, there's a bunch of other stuff. Ollie Kolzig's blockers are there. Ovechkin's skates, a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a Peter Bondra Screaming Eagle jersey, a bunch of cool shit.
So to explain why he has been the coach of the London Knights for so long, he is current co-owner and president as well as head coach. Fun fact before we wrap this up, Dale Hunter has the second most penalty minutes in NHL history.
Yes, I was going to mention that when you didn't, and then I forgot that you didn't mention it. Second most of all time.
Yeah, behind the GOAT, the menace himself, Tiger Williams.
Yeah, which we've already talked about.
Almost
check out season 2 for that.
4,000. Yeah, I'm sorry. He has over 4,000 career penalty minutes.
Yeah,
fucking icons. We love ourselves some bully boys.
Yeah. Yep, love it. Thank you so much, Chris. We always love that special segment. I love that segment a little extra because it's one of my boys. Men, I guess. Very old men at this point.
Adult.
Adults, yes. If you guys have any questions for us for the question of the week or just a segment that you would love to see us talk about, please let us know. You can hit us up in the comments. You can hit us up at our email. You can hit us up with Carrier Pigeon. You could also try whispering into a tin cup attached to a string. We're not at the other end of it, but you don't know what could happen.
We fucking might be at the other end of it. You won't know until you find out. Cup phones are a
give
thing.
It a shot.
We are millennials. Cup phones did exist for us.
Yeah, 100%. But thank you guys so much for joining us this week for another episode of the Pucked Up Podcast. We have been your lovely hosts. We will always be your lovely hosts, and you will continue to see guest hosts like Maul returning hopefully next week to join us for another episode. So thank y'all so much. We love you, Mother Puckers, and we'll see you next week in the Face-Off Circle.